Welcome back to Chapter 7, Mrs. Schroeder's chemistry class. Today we're going to talk about percent composition, trying to understand how composition of a substance, it depends on the formula. Percent composition is given by mass of the element. It's a tool that scientists use to figure out which elements are in a compound and what the ratios are. Again, we're going to talk about it as the mass of a compound. You can see the percentage depends on the formula of the compound. For Fe2O3, oxygen and iron are in different percentages. Fe2O3 we have 70% iron almost, oxygen's 30%. For FeO, just iron oxide, iron 2 oxide, we have different percentages. Why? Because it's based on the amount of each substance in the compound. If we want to figure out percent composition, make sure you pause the video and write these steps down. First thing you have to do is figure out the mass of each element by looking at the molar mass. We get molar mass from the periodic table. Your second step is to calculate the molar mass of the compound. We then divide the mass from each element by the molar mass. So the ratio by the total molar mass. And go ahead and multiply by 100 to get it into a percentage if we're going to talk about percent. Last thing is check your answers. It should always add up to 100. If it doesn't add up to 100, then you did something wrong. You need to figure out what you did wrong and try it again. Example, if you had copper 2 or copper 1 sulfide, it's an iron ore. We need to first figure out the mass from each material in there. In this case, we are going to be looking at the subscripts. There's 2 copper atoms in each of these molecules. So you take 2 times the molar mass from the periodic table, and we get 127.1 grams. That's the amount of copper in one of the molecules. The sulfur is 32.07. When we add those together, we get the molar mass of 159 as the total. Divide each amount. The 127 goes here, divided by the total, times 100 to get our percentage. So copper is 79.85% and sulfur is 20%. Make sure they add up to 100. 79.85 plus 20 equals 100. So you did something right. Okay, we're going to do a practice problem now together, calculating the percent of iron and carbon. Iron is going to be 3 times the molar mass of iron is 55.845, and carbon is 12.011. So 3 times 55.845, 167.535 grams. Add those together. We get 179.546. So the percentage of iron in this compound is 167.535 divided by 179.546. So 179.5. So I get 93.3% iron, and the carbon in this so 12.011 divided by 179.546 times 100, and I get 6.68%. Add those together and you get 100%. Okay, so the problem is correct. We could try this again for sulfur dioxide. In this case, they're asking you to go back and remember how to write a formula. Sulfur, and you see di, it means 2, sulfur dioxide. Sulfur is 32.065, and oxygen is 15.999. And notice there's 2 oxygen, so times 2. So it equals 31.98 grams. When I add those together, I get 64.063 for my overall total mass. So the percentage of sulfur is 32.065 divided by the total times 100. And I get 50.05 grams, and the percent oxygen would be 31.98, 64.063. And I get 49.92 grams, which again adds up to approximately 100%, depending on rounding. So this is how I would report it. I'd report my percentage. Oops, this is percent. 50% sulfur, 49.9% oxygen, and that's the percentage. Here's one for you to practice and see if you can get. We'll talk about this in class tomorrow. See if you can figure out the percent composition of NH4NO3. So in summary, if we're trying to calculate the percent composition, we're just asking you to find the mass percentage of each element in a compound. Use the periodic table to get the molar mass of the total, and then divide each atom by the total.